to die by a river. She wanted the tide to come up and drag her away, so that when she's dreaming, she could watch the tree line fall away. She used to draw rainbow faces in the sand. The rainbow made the face sad.
Welcome to the Knox Street Bar, and we're here for a very special poetry event as part of Contains Strong Language, Red Room National Poetry Month, and what an incredible spectacle it has been. It is a celebration, and it's been marvellous to see the impression that it has had and is still having, such as the closing events, and this is one of them. And we're very fortunate to have 5 very different style of poets and poetry, and we're going to be treated by that. This is a live streaming venue, and just to give you a little bit of a heads up, there are microphones in the ceiling, and so just bear that in mind when you perhaps are paying attention to what it is that you're observing tonight on the stage. So what I would like you to think also about is if you would like to do any necessaries, which might be there's a toilet in the back there, or get yourself a drink, then please do before we settle in and do the live stream. How this will work, once I come off, we'll give it a couple of minutes, and then there will be a sort of similar to a countdown, which you'll see graphics on the wall. Will indicate when we will begin. First poet will come up and they will position themselves there, and there's no official MC, and it's just going to go from one to the other. The live stream experience will be quite different at knox.live. What we'll be seeing on the wall over here is not exactly what you'll be seeing in the live stream. So there's a combination of those two things that they will be seeing, and that will be recorded for later playback. It's going to be great. It's a part of the enthusiasm. You're in the room, and your participation is very important, and we much value what it is that you're bringing here tonight. So thank you so much for being part of this. It's presented by poetrysydney, Red Room, and the Knox Street Bar. Okay, so settle in. We'll just give you about 1 minute to do all of those necessary things that you might need to do very quickly. And counting, and counting. Teena, go up on the stage. Up now. Yep.
Hello, my name is Teena McCarthy, and I'm an Italian-Irish Barkindji Aboriginal woman. I'd like to acknowledge the Aboriginal people as the traditional owners, custodians of which this nation on which we now live and work. We acknowledge the ancestors and elders who were and continue to be the storytellers. They help us to know our country and her people of past and present, and more clearly, finally, we are reminded of our journey that began with the Aboriginal people in this land, that now incorporates the larger family of the Torres Strait Islanders and all Australian people. The ghosts of 48. Red blood pours from windows of a dark farmhouse seen from the street. As I get closer, I see a puddle, a pool of red blood. Here she sits, a bright orange scar. Is that fire on approach? Ash falls a light into my eyes. As I get closer, red blood becomes bright, fresh, flashing, dying and fading. A haunting overcomes me like locusts taking flight. When suddenly it goes black again, my God, I get a fright. It stops, the bleeding now only drops, stains and remains. When I enter, pains shoot through my body. It aches, cramps, muscles spasm, my head pulsates, confusion sets in as blood runs down my legs. Suddenly I'm doubled over. I dig a hole of dirt to lie in. Dark blood clots into white cloth. I go forth with my sword as if I do not have it into the night. This house, it's moaning, it's creaking, it's gushing, groaning, from darkness to blood to light. Like the pulse in my veins, like a heartbeat, I fall down. My blood is now mixed blood, full or half rusted. I lay on the broken bed, wires, springs cut deep into flesh. My face, a paler shade of white. When darkness turns to red again, its pulse racing like mine. I can't tell them apart. Now the house is filling up with blood again. Am I about to drown? The red blood slows down, as does my heartbeat. The smell of burning flesh comes closer. Dark house starts to burn. Wooden beams are falling, spitting fire. My only way out is to walk on broken glass. Feet cut deeply. I run from this haunted house. I don't look back. It hurts too much. I get to the gate. I dare to look back. It seems the ghosts were having a good laugh. No fire, no blood. Bleeding windows, red lights no longer. As if I'd been turned out for the daylight. I was no longer bleeding. My feet no longer cut. It was only then I saw a sign out the front. Do not enter, especially at night. Mary's hut. Horse hooves clack. The sound of men and chains clang on their approach. The bush rustles up, shh, unsettling gusts. She hears them as they enter in. It's time for service, and Mary waits alone. Tense and nervous, dust to what tippy-toes before dawn, for her day is finished. The night is on, up by one and for good. Service is done. It was time for service, and Mary waits alone. A day begins to begin, and Mary's wet nursing again. On lap his children, scrubbed floor shined to silver, cooked and wiped from curse. Bring this here, where Mary feeds a dream, in a prayer to Jesus, and a day, one day of being freed. The land is our archives, bush mothers sitting down, fancy playing cards, they've given birth, divinity and oh, so forth, mother. Women deal in men, like how we gathered, we young Mary, first told Mary Magdalene, he is risen, damn it. 3 Aboriginal women came in, they took nothing. Instead, they strung coolamans and left bearing gifts of ace. Women carrying the busted children, the honouring of fertility spirit. She dealt a map into earth and marking older plains. You can't steal time. You can't steal time. A free spirit born in time. Time can't steal our stories, even though they took our fathers, nanas and great-grandmothers. The problem with time is that time shows no mercy. Time has no freedom. Time tried to take our bloodlines, our songlines, our dream times. They see that time keeps burning, that fire of time. For we have survived, can't be erased. What is my crime? The colour of my fucking skin? This time people heard our truth. Is that our only sin? Stories handed down. Time speaks of ancients. Can you feel it in your spirit? Can you feel it in your skin? Can you find a place within your mind? Realise, for we are strong, for we have survived as the timekeepers, the keepers of spirit time.
Write back. You write back to your birth. Your birth was the beginning of a word that is yet being spoken. You are being spoken. You are a noise. You are music. You are language. You are a scream. Blood clusters of cells spinning iron-spoked, buried in the flesh of a womb, still birthing you. You do not know for whom your final emergence will be a greater relief, you or that which holds you. You write back to your birth. Indianness and brownness and womanness, a jute rope thrice threaded. Abstract algebra, your best subject. Mithai in a key-stained cardboard box. Sugar congealing clear as the sap of stars on the bottom. Suya sizzling in a smoke-filled hut. Red raw meat burning, turning brown. Your mother gave birth to you in a country not her own. You give birth to your child in a country not your own. It's agony. It would have been agony anyway. You write back to your birth. Dirt black, lotus white, your fingers emerging from the soil beneath your bones, reclaiming them. Ibadan, Benin, you wandering lost through a corridor of elongated wooden masks that gradually become your face. In Delhi, the summer singes your souls like acid, tongues of flame, skin peeling away, flecks of dandruff on the cracked pavement, gnarled hands knitting an off-blue sweater for a doll with blank plastic eyes, powdered buknu on a paratha served hot from the stove. You write back to your birth. To poems composed on faded, lined diary paper atop the flat bird-shit-stained roof of your Marcy's apartment building. On the stairs up to the roof rests the neighbourhood dog, panting, her belly distended with a litter she is soon to deliver, her swollen teats pink amid pale fur. There will be blood on these steps the next time you return. Darkened, rusty. Perhaps she, at least, knew where she was going. Perhaps she had a place she could go to. Perhaps her pups survived. You write back to your birth. Your sand-encrusted snakeskin unwound like a clock being slowly, lovingly deconstructed by a devout clockmaker's hands. You are the earth that is trod upon and the river that is drunk from, reduced, emptied with every second. A consumable. Your beautiful brown scale skin becomes cheap linoleum on which footsteps are smeared like funeral ash. Those who pass never pass. A boarding school where the girls are whispers, where the whispers disappear. Anemia. You write back to your birth, to a closet through whose doors no fire can penetrate, nor sound, nor memory. Hands of chipped guilt folded in prayer. A church or a temple, a mausoleum or a garden, tulsi leaves and green birds, haldi-yellowed grains of rice at the feet of a forgotten god. A cupboard built of glass feathers sharp as knives, in which you keep yourself as if in a cabinet of curiosities, refracted by rivets, by cracks. People lean in to stare. They can't quite make sense of what you are. Neither can you. You write back to your birth. Live forward. There is only one way worth living, and it is with immense tenderness. And fierceness, but that is only tenderness set alight. Write back, live forward. Yes, the rains, the droughts, they will come, but your palms must be open. The stars, small white spiders, filling your cupped hands to overflowing. The dirt, a sea of red ants beneath your feet, stinging, burning. You must walk barefoot here. Your nails are diamonds, your hair of wire, your gut a lyre. Sing, sing so that your ancestors can hear you with their ears pressed to the ground of your heart, your chest. You sacrifice your breasts at the temple of forgiveness, twin dust-coated lambs, a slaughter, agenda. Without them, you are born anew. Around your neck is a janeu of pure cotton, dyed red, a sacrilege that what dyes it is your menstrual blood. Your teeth are beads of gold. Somewhere out there, Sita chose her husband as you will choose death. Soon you too will be taken from someone. In a day, a month, a year, a few years. There is a great bow buried in the sand for you to draw, for you to strum into a harp and launch notes arrow-sharp into the sky. This is no Vrindavan. There are no trees, no langurs, no silken-furred fruit to drop into your lap. Here the earth is windswept, the wind is earth-swept, and the only leaves are those that have pressed their memories into stone. Fossils. You too will be pressed into stone, as lovers are into each other, as seals are into wax. You are a letter you cannot read, sender unknown, destination unspecified. It does not matter. Unroll every inch of your own vellum, dully gleaming, with care and wonder regardless. None of the letters will make sense to you. An alphabet of claws and clicking noises, midnight wasp things crawling out from the underworld, incandescent comics descending from the heavens, songs that blaze like angels inside the minutiae of broken seashells, the walls of ears, scratches that venture sideways, then up, pictures drawn with a child's clumsiness and wisdom. You too are a child. It is all right. Read yourself and walk. Sing yourself and walk. Talk yourself into being as the mad do, for you too are mad. As God does, for you too are God. Your eyes are pebbles and your bones the rivers that water you in the absence of marrow. A pilgrimage of drum skins and horned gourds. When eventually you find the Queen's Well, dug into the Patan rock like a bowl, an offering, you will drink from it and forget yourself. And that is also all right. Because later, when the thirst returns, you will remember again. Perhaps you are the thirst. Do not worry. You too will be slaked. Muqaddar ke insan. Gentle minarets steeped in blood. A train full of corpses pulling into Amritsar station, dead arms reaching out through barred windows, a hand with blue bangles and lined with wedding mehendi, dangling lifeless over the edge, fingers dripping onto the tracks, the platform. Blood, piss and shit down metal corridors, worn fabric seats stinking of gore and vomit. No graves, no burials, all set on fire. My grandmother said ashes become flowers, Memory fades in and out. Trauma, concussion, she saw it but didn't. Murder everywhere, every street a graveyard. Her school friend, a Muslim girl in a green salwar kameez with small yellow flowers on it, lying half-stripped amidst the bloody muck. Hair pulled loose from its usual braid in a pool of blackish red. Coal-rimmed eyes staring up at an unforgiving sky, an unforgiving God. Breakfasting before witnessing a massacre and throwing up in the nearest alley. Surviving only because you worship the right gods. It didn't end with my grandmother. It didn't end in 1947. It kept happening. When my parents were growing up, when I was growing up, 12 times, 100. When my mother was 18, 2,000 dead. When I was 19, another 2,000. Our neighbours, the boys from my aunt's classrooms, turning killers, rapists. Us hiding in my mama's basement, hearing news on a tiny dented radio about a young mother hung from a ceiling fan in front of her 4-year-old son after being raped. Knowing it could be any of us. Holding each other's hands tight as if that could save us. Save our friends, our relatives, our family, Hindu and Muslim both. Our community cracked down the line of faith. We did this. We cut us open. We with machetes. We with children beheaded. We with our hair torn, chudis broken, wailing for our dead. We partitioned us. We gutted us, left us orphans, disinherited from the land in which we grew up, from the neighbour who gave us sweets one day and murdered us the next. 2 swaddling blankets for twins, a watch with shattered glass still on the wrist, a Quran burned in the arms of its burning believer who could not let it go, a gold locket of Lakshmi snapped from the neck of its wearer, a spilled tin of sindoor. These marks of massacres carved into bone, into blood memory, ancestor memory. The rage precious, hoarded, passed on like a knife-shaped heirloom, a dagger that cuts both ways, sheathed until the next genocide. No forgiveness where there is hate. No hate where there is forgiveness. We hurt us. We wound us. We are a dagger that cuts both ways.
Something has followed us home from the temple of the trees, which is how we think of our time in that first long dream, where we grew like moss grows and softly into a brilliant green. We could hear the breathing of the whole earth then, without names. We dreamt ourselves into existence again. A moving, most massive thing, as empty as light, as full as a mountain. morning falls completely into the deep blue hollows of our face. The left eye and then the right, filling with beams of light woven into the secret geometry of unlived remembrances. That vast patterning of serendipia. We meet and we meet again. We remember every dream in which you sing. Your voice a hedged rustling, your breath moving us, breathing. Breathe, breathe us in. The dream is a journey without end and carries on behind us. The sound of its passage fading and returning and fading as we walk our feet, the left foot and the right, across the cool, smooth stones of the day. Something has followed us home on soft toes, the left foot and the right, flexing towards waking in the early dark, filtering autumnal blue into the four chambers of our heart. Did we love you enough at the time? The going in and the coming out, dawn feet through damp grass, bird call of waterfall, breath breathing the brain, the body breathing the lines that lift us into life, always before, behind, carrying us, carried lightly this breath, never the imposter. The lyre bird's digital call, spotted gums ghosted by mist, a host of beats singing their tiny hinges at different angles, different speeds. Did we listen enough at the time, says our voice, voicing a world of clouds, a great enfolding, soft like, unlike, like cotton around the whole of us, a gathering of space holding us not because of being blameless, not a carrying this transport, like, unlike, like a slipstreaming in the wake of a moving, most heavy thing. Deepest, dearest hollow of the wind down, like, unlike, like the still point of an exhaled breath, arms outstretched into the equilibrium, as empty as a mountain, as full as light. Did we listen to you enough at the time, says our voice, voicing a great unfolding. Something has followed us home from the temple of the dream. Hear how it sings, listen like and unlike. We meet and we meet again. Your meanings unlike my meanings, but like them too. We meet and we meet again. Here where the threads tighten, the paths bending in upon themselves. Our whole body light and buoyant and drifting without need in the containment of the dream, holding us, flowing through us, our full body full of sound. Deep lungs taking us slowly in and releasing us. A current of voice in the kernel of our ear, reminding us, the right ear and the left, that the dream is a vibration without end. We rise from the currents of its pool and descend, as full as light, as empty as a mountain, drifting into suspension, synchronicity orchestrating our fragile reunion, the tenderness reminding us just how precarious our balance on this edge.
I don't have any stuff, but I do have feedback. It's my name's Rico Craig. I have just finished writing a verse novel for young adults, and in that verse novel, there's a whole bunch of characters who are really into graffiti, and the story kind of follows them as they leave messages for each other across the suburbs of Sydney. And it's kind of about friendship and about the trouble that they get into as well. To make this work, you all actually need to pretend that you're like 17 years old for about the next 10 minutes, if that's okay. All right, first poem is Dead Grass. Climbing a wrought iron gate, scanning for rent-a-cops. Over the fence, into the school, backpacks loaded with weed killer, they hug a sandstone wall. Step in shadows, stay submerged just under headlight beams. Out on the oval, they work, bent over grass, mapping each curve and corner with dropped socks, scrunched cloth. They step out letters, graph surveyors, plotting, planning. Why don't we just spray the walls? Ahmed looks at the distant buildings. It's too easy. Like something they'd do. We have to do more. Below, stars, lush green playing field, picket fence border. Ahmed next to car on dew-covered grass. Near tended tennis courts, a grandstand, the sandstone entrance building, surrounded by brick additions, school always extending, a glass-walled science block, auditorium. This is what Ahmed fights, but he won't touch any of it. Not a single mark on a sandstone wall. He's planned the mapping, scraps of sock and cloth. Leave them on the oval. Let people wonder. Be smarter. Be smart, because he can never be found. When they leave, there'll only be the idea waiting to take shape. Discarded socks, a few pieces of cloth, haphazard litter on a school oval. No him to be investigated. No car, no person to be labelled and uncovered. Car counts out his steps, 5, and drops a piece of cloth. I get it. Headlights moving, it's never night. There's always risk. A plot Ahmed has been carrying. Reparation for slashing words, stalking friends off trains, for crossing the line. They pretend they've got things worth hiding, but they're empty echoes acting out some drama. We've got real things inside us. He points to car. Inside you, car. Real things. They make us. Ahmed laughs. I think we're ready to spray. Weed killer from the backpack. Hand pump, joining the dots. Joining corners created by drop socks. Spraying letters. Weed killer on the green grass. Night saturates with the smell of herbicide and dying words. Hand pump and spray grievances on grass. Ahmed plotting the path between markers, sock to sock. The markers becoming letters, becoming huge words, invisible, streaked across the grass. Money kills. In the morning, the only hints left on the field are discarded socks, wholly singular, spreading coordinates that appear senseless, kids in ties kicking at them, unknowing, until the next day when the grass starts to brown and the night turns to words. Money kills. All right, in the next one, we meet our other two characters who are named Telly and Jessica. It's called Dance Spot. City dwellers making their way home from high-rise jobs, late afternoon, spring heat rising from concrete light, bouncing off glass building fronts. Between the office blocks, conference centre, mall edge, and open plaza, clusters of dancers. Their tiny portable speakers spilling songs, music rattles in the pedestrian groove, ricocheting between concrete and glass. The dancers shuffle, find rhythm, stepping to the glass, testing themselves against reflections. Each night, the groups converge on this plaza, talking, dancing, trading their steps, laughter, silent admiration, the slip rustle of clothing, hand claps. From the top of the stairs at the end of the open plaza, Telly and Jessica see tangles of physical grace. Dancers on either side moving in their intimate congregations. Music filled us up. Each group a different sound. K-pop, tech edge, lost love, rhythm, blue, floating vocals. They pause on the stairs. Jessica surveys the groups below, looking for anyone she's danced with before. She leads Telly, sliding into the esophagus, slick swallowing as pedestrians churn and swirl past dancers into the gut of a city night toward harbourfront glitz. Along each wall, bodies twist, stick, pose and shape. In the polished sheen, they discover themselves. More real, souls on concrete, laughter, songs flowing into and from each other. Jessica knows the way. A body reshapes itself with music. In front of its shining facades in the Friday thoroughfare, each arm in motion, each step and bent knee are becoming. She looks for a place, watching moves, waiting for a moment to join. Track pants, plaited hair, ribbon, fringe, loose shoe, glance, watch, corner of eye, half smile, peek, see, move on. Telly grins. I don't know how you can do this. You have to do something that lets you be who you are. Jessica slides herself off toward the edge of a group, and Telly sits against the opposite wall, watching her friend. The group bends slightly as Jessica joins. Nothing said. She starts moving, a drop, a sway, two-step, eyes on the shining glass. Shoulder dip, small step, slide. Groups link, merge, bounce away. Telly sits on the ground, eating an ice block, watching her friend, loving the certainty of her, the way she knows gravity. And in this space, there's nothing to make her afraid. Only people knowing what their bodies want to do. Telly is happy to watch it all, the strange freedom in not wanting to hide. And then, of course, the bad guys turn up. This one's called First Chanting. Until it's no longer their strange freedom. First sign, yelling from the entrance to the plaza, echo between the buildings, a group of 6 boys laughing, over-ear headphones around their neck. One yells into the glass valley for the echo, for the echo. They begin to descend the stairs toward the dancers, a whistle, another for the echo. At the base of the stairs, they pause, one points, another does a mocking approximation of a dance move. They walk toward the groups of dancers. 6 boys, briefly silent, puckering their lips, then loud kissing noises. They move close to the first group, too close, stepping until they're almost touching. Still, only the noise from their lips, scrunched face, eyes, the leer. Dancing slows in the group, stops. The music continues, other groups look over, the loud kissing noise, puckered face. They move, passing the second and third group. Again, too close, less than an outstretched arm, near enough to threaten touch. Fourth group and final. They step past, beyond the 5th group of dancers, turn. One of them begins a mocking laugh, slow, loud, deliberate. The echo bounces between buildings, fills the walkway, dancers slow and still. The 6 boys turn back, chanting, "Only, only, only." And Jessica stops dancing, moves away from her reflection, stares at the boys, gives them the finger. The boys stop. One points at her, the others point. They laugh. One begins a broken marionette dance. Before he crumples to the ground, cackling, the boys drag him up, turn, still laughing. They begin to leave, chanting, only, only, only. All right, last one. We're sticking with the bad guys for a little while. This one's called Raised by Algorithms. Fingers made of static. Audio entrapment, meta-inducement, accumulation, acquisition, discipline, strength, power. Manhood has been shaped. A cursed dream piped into blood, digital instincts runneling instead of thought. The only boys sit, headphones on, silent. 6 figures, lean, youth, pallor, shine eyes, scratching chests, pulling sleeves onto shoulders, side by side on a metal bench after class linger in the grandstand by their school oval, playing field, the sun dipping, harmful, meeting place for words to churn through their ears. They stare at the field, silent, words in headphones. The same messages, the same litanies repeated until they become commandments, looped speeches, repeated snippets. These words are identity manacles, false insistence, a way to be in which there is no way for weakness, no place for stray opinions, where it all must be as smooth as shell casing, as filled with threat. Quick speak, near yell, mockery lifted to attack, people cower from their threat. Raised voice, tenor of terror, the push, the need to push down on a neck, to overwhelm, the desire to be as powerful as a voice gushing into ears. The 6 boys sit in silence, empty playing field at their feet, picket fence around the border. They wait, anger hissing through them. Thank you.
Well, hello. Thank you for having me tonight. I'm Willo Drummond, and my goodness, it's an absolute joy to read after the wonderful voices that we've been hearing tonight, and to be a part of Poetry Month and the fantastic Contains Strong Language program for 2024. Tonight I'm going to read you some poems from my collection Moonras. The book is a weave of several threads around the theme of transformation. First, the transformative process of grief when there's social space afforded it. And in particular, the griefs associated with childlessness and infertility, still highly stigmatised topics, as we've recently seen in the media. Second, the transformative processes of reading and writing and the relationship between them. And finally, the book is also something of a love story in that it explores the process of gender transition from the perspective of a life partner. So I'm going to read you 4 poems tonight, 2 that deal with infertility and childlessness, and then I'll finish the set with 2 poems that speak into the space around partnerships in transition. You'll hear that most of the poems I'm going to read tonight are quite dialogic and are written in conversation with various fragments of texts, and I'll try and signal these for you as I go along. The first poem makes use of a line from a poem called Underwater Corking by the wonderful Australian poet Felicity Plunkett from her collection A Kinder Sea. This is called Ways of Seeing. One perigee syzygy, a poem speaks of the 10 lunar months it takes to make a child. In ancient Egypt, these intervals were understood to begin when the waning could no longer be seen before first light. Currently, you are stardust, not even yet a crescent. I worry I've lost too many hours waning, my knowing too slim, a left-aligned filament that cannot catch and hold a feather, let alone a ray of shimmering dust. Perhaps gibbous with confusion, I'm spent, will I, won't I, this way or that, while others turn with such precision, radiant orbs, content filled. I dream of conjunctions, luminous alignments, stackings of hope in indigo night. A matter of perspective, of course, our nearness, glimmering illusion that you are so easily within reach. Thank you. I am going to sip from my colour-coordinated green bottle.
And I just noticed the shoot.
Thank you for the outfit appreciation. The next poem is written after 2 poems by the great Louise Gluck, who the poetry world sadly lost recently. This piece is written after material from both Love Poem and The Wild Iris. And you'll hear a line from Gluck as the poem opens. This is called The Act of Making. There is always something to be made of pain, she said. A claret scarf, a souffle, misshapen gardens fecund with memory and fluffed intentions. How can you bear so many imagined blooms, heavy with scent of hope, let go? You tend tender shoots day after day, while remembrance scratches your knuckles, and solitary bees hover, uncertain what to make of such circuitous traversing of stiff, dry earth. Unwomanly, bent queen, brimful of shame, with nowhere to dig in. You strike, scrape flushed clay, seeking signs, portents, why the seasons unfolded as they did, why the iris falls blue as the moon, why cicadas go on singing when song hushed long ago in your throat. No one can say. Parched, you shake barren dust from boots, walk on and on to build another bed, simply for the act of making. Somewhere, a ghost orchid blooms. Thank you. The second last poem I'm going to read tonight arises from an encounter I had with two Londoners in a place called Wanstead Park in East London, really early on in the process of my partner's transition. Wanstead Park is a significant childhood place for the UK-born US poet Denise Levertov, who I was there researching. So this poem makes use of some material from a poem of Levertov's about that place, and it also makes use of a line from Sikh scripture, as the two Londoners I bumped into happened to be Sikh. This is a poem about a range of ways we carry the past with us. It's about change, climate, colonisation, migration, but most importantly, it's about the significance of language. This is called The One Light is the Light in All Bodies. On a branch of downy birch, flecked with river light, two crows cool their tongues one unseasonable London summer. I walk along the heronry pond toward the wild centre, to a tremolo of futures enforced by Brisbane blue. This is Wanstead, that drew us over and over into its basic poetry. In its serpentine lake we envisioned early music among golden dead leaves. The past snakes across parched beds today, captured plastic chairs and bottles, the ruined boathouse still ghosted through trees. I water in the shade with two welcoming Sikhs who speak of a runaway trans boy lost somewhere by the river Roding, the selfsame tributary of this place that held our heads above water when we thought we might drown. By his auburn hair you'd know him, they say, without using those pronouns. They feed a solitary duck in the uncomfortable heat. And the silence this inscribes, the emerging space between. I am untongued with erasures of you and so me, each baroque note of a viol lowing as soft strings of new boy hair held by water crowfoot. Eka jot jot high sarira. One light, all bodies, gold as changing leaves. Thank you so much. This final poem I'm going to read is called Moonras. It is the title poem of my collection. For those who don't know, a moonras is a species of fish that undergoes a female to male gender transition in midlife. So this is Moonras. Here you are, my blue moon, Ras. Newborn, barely imagined being. I see you with a new lucency, clear as the blue of your new man's suit, sweet as the sky, true as day. Back and forth you carve this place of ours, continuing a persistent insistence on incessant activity you always loved to dance. Some things change, some stay the same. Here you are, forming, transforming, twinkling your web toes, shaking your tail crescent. Lyras, we cycle through the dappled light of the casuarina, holding hands like younger lovers, in a film, in a dream. All is calm and comfort here, moving in our translucent cocoon, self-made and safe as houses, or as a fresh-made pair of parrotfish pajamas. Thank you. Thank you so much for having me.
Is it on? Thank you. That brings us to the end of our presentation of poetry for News, poets from the North, the East, West and South. Celebration as part of National Poetry Month, presented by Red Room, BBC. And big thanks to those in the production here, Björn and Journey. Thank you for coming here to be part of this. And a special big thank you to the poets. Can we give them a big hand of applause? Now, it is especially live streamed, and until the bump-in of the next live stream, you can access going to knox.live and revisit what you saw this evening. Go along, have a drink with the poets, and join us for more poetry upcoming, both with poetrysydney.org, and there's plenty yet to come with Red Room, so check it out. Thanks, everyone.